All right, for those listening on the podcast, we have our weekly bonus segment. We have Cam Tucker from BCLC and PlayNow.com joining us here. You see him inside BC Place alongside Katie Hamilton, among others. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, fellas. How about yourself? Good show tonight.
Good, yeah. 49ers are still in first place, so despite I might be suiting up for them at one point given all the injuries, but... Anyway, we're not here to talk NFL. Lions, Argos. Let's start off. Why don't you give our listeners a little bit of a refresher on some of the lines, totals, and odds going on right now?
Yeah, so I mean, sports betting is kind of a niche thing. It's got its own kind of language. It takes a while to understand, and it can be intimidating for people. So I think that for something like the point spread, you're essentially looking at a bet on the margin of victory, and it's a number that is set by the odds makers to determine the gap between two teams. So, for instance, the BC Lions against the Argonauts, the Lions are favored by 9.5 points, and the way that you would see this on PlayNow is minus 9.5 for the Lions, plus 9.5 for the Argonauts, and you're essentially betting if you think that the Lions are going to win the game by 10 or more points, you bet on the Lions point spread. If you think the Lions are going to win, but maybe they're not going to win by 10, then you go with the Argonauts to cover. For total points, you're essentially making a bet on the total points scored between two teams in the game. So last week against Calgary, the over-under was 55.5. And
Lions almost hit that
themselves.
The
Lions almost hit that on their own. And so the Lions and the Stamps combined, I think it was for like 76 points or something like that, 75 points. So the over hit very comfortably. You only need 56 points for the over to hit. And then for odds, there's different formats. There's decimal odds, there's American odds, there's fractional odds. I don't like fraction odds at all. But I think decimal odds are the easiest to understand for those who are just getting into sports betting. And then for American odds, that's what you're going to see on TV, where you've got minus 110, plus 105. And for American odds, you're essentially looking at $100 as the risk or the reward. If you look at the odds at minus 110 and you bet 100, you're essentially going to have to risk more than you're going to win. Whereas if you bet $100 at plus 105, if the bet hits, you're going to get a bigger payout than what your bet amount was.
All right, good explanation, good refresher. All right, how big of a shift have we seen in the Lions' Grey Cup odds and the odds for Mr. Nathan Rourke to win Most Outstanding Player?
Yeah, this has been a significant development the last few days at PlayNow. The BC Lions, before kickoff on Friday against the Stamps, their odds to win the Grey Cup were plus 1,500, so they were certainly further down the board. And I think the game against Calgary, that had to be their most complete effort of the entire season. I mean, start to finish, they got off to that hot start. Anytime Calgary tried to build momentum back, the Lions snuffed it right out. And that was a tough test because Calgary's defense was among the top-ranked defenses in the CFL, and Nathan Rourke took him to task. So that was a big win. And what happened was on Saturday morning, we actually saw those odds go from plus 1,500 to plus 650. Today they were plus 500, so they continue to shift, and they've really closed the gap between where the Lions were and where the top teams like Saskatchewan at plus 225 are. So that's a big shift. And then for Nathan Rourke, plus 3,300 to win Most Outstanding Player 2 weeks ago. He's plus 110 now. So if you think about that in terms of probability, he had about a 3% chance of winning MOP 2 weeks ago. It's now at 48%. And it's essentially a two-horse race. You've got Bo Levi Mitchell, who is the favorite at minus 154. You've got Nathan Rourke at plus 110. And I think that what might give Nathan Rourke the edge going down the stretch is the fact that not only is he's ranked third in yards passing and third in touchdown passes, but he's I think it's like 7th or 8th in the CFL in rushing. And he's 4th in rushing touchdowns. Like, that's huge. So he can get it done with his arm, with his legs. And I think that his ability to run the ball might be what gives him the edge these next few weeks.
Winning football games.
That helps too.
Getting into the postseason, those are crucial aspects when it comes to award season 2. What are we looking like on Friday when it comes to the BC Toronto game and where the odds are shaping up?
Yeah, big spread on this one. The Lions actually opened as 10.5-point favorites. Now, what we saw throughout the course of the day is, they opened at 10.5-point favorites. The line has shifted to 9.5 points. And I think that's looking at the Argos and maybe some uncertainty at the quarterback position. Nick Arbuckle reportedly practiced. He took, I think majority of the reps today with the first team. And so that's definitely impacted the line a little bit, that news coming out of Toronto. And the early numbers that we saw were, we're getting the bigger money on Toronto right away. That will change as we get closer to game time. But certainly that's the Lions favored by quite a bit. And, the over-under is 57 points. That's a big number, and the Lions right now, the over has hit in 8 consecutive games. So, their offense is putting up a lot of points, and, they play big play football. They lead the CFL in big plays, and I think that's one of the reasons why the total is so high, but also why we've seen Nathan Rourke's MOP odds really shift towards him the last couple of days.
And lastly, Cam, what do you got your eyes on Friday when it comes to custom picks and what are you cooking up for the bet boost? Yeah, we're still cooking this one up in the lab, but I would say that look out for Nathan Rourke player props for this one. He's on a hot streak right now, and then looking at probably going to look at the BC Lions money line, and I think we got to look at the total. I think that this is becoming one of the bigger stories of the season, at least from our perspective at PlayNow. The fact that the over is hit in 8 consecutive Lions games, that's big. That's quite a streak, and we'll see if that maybe continues on Friday.
Yeah, a little rain in the forecast. Could be a closed roof. You never know. The elements will not be a factor. And if it is Nick Arbuckle, then maybe a good old-fashioned shootout on Friday night. All right, sir. Thank you for this, and we will talk again next week.
Yeah.
Ahead of another matchup with Calgary. All right.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Cam Tucker from BCLC and PlayNow.com. And we're back next week on First and Now.